All right, everybody, welcome back to the Horn Takes podcast, your Texas football and baseball talk destination. I am Sean Redfern. It is Monday, and we are on a bye week. Bye weeks, man, bye weeks suck, but Texas really needed this bye week. Texas is really banged up, especially at running back, especially at quarterback. Need to take these 2 weeks and get healthy, get focused, and get ready for the Red River Shootout. We will do our Trace Otra games recap from week 5, see if we can yeah. I don't see if we can remain perfect. Sometimes my mouth doesn't do what my brain wants it to do, y'all. And then we'll do the after action review of Mississippi State. We rewatched the game this morning. We finally looked at some stats this morning. Feel like we have a much clearer, way less drunk picture of what happened during that game on Saturday. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. You just like to listen to podcasts, you can find us at Apple Podcast, iHeart Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. You can find us at horntakespodcast.buzzsprout.com as well. All the episodes go up, all those places, every single time. It's just what we do. Let's talk Trace Otra games recap. Looking to keep our record perfect through week 5. We missed the opening week. I think we missed the opening. Yeah, we missed the opening week. And then we've done them ever since then. We're 9-0 so far on this season. So that's pretty good, right? First game, number 20, Okie Light at number 23, Kansas State. Man, we talked about how both of these teams reeling off of coming off of losses to the two big Utah schools, BYU, Utah, respectively. And we just, man, every time you talk about K-State, you're just going to hear tough running game, control the game, play tough defense. And we thought that's exactly what K-State would do. What we didn't think they would do is win it by as many points as they did. We had K-State 30-23 over Oklahoma State. They end up winning the game 42-20. I don't know what the hell Mike Gundy is doing with Ollie Gordon. I am not a huge Ollie Gordon fan. I don't think he's that good. But I'll tell you what he is good at. If he's got a hole and he can just run north and south, he's damn good. If he's running up against a small ass defensive back, he will truck him. He's damn good. And he did a lot of that early in that game, and they just almost completely went away from it. They opted to put the game in the hands of 78th year senior Alan Bowman instead of your Doak Walker award winning running back. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just really old school, but if your guys up front are opening holes and your running back is finding those holes and getting through those holes and running over people down the field, you do that until they absolutely stop it. And I might make them stop me 2 or 3 times before I stop doing it. By the end of a football game, if you do that enough, they don't want to tackle nobody anymore. If you go back and watch, and I'm sure it was this way with Earl Campbell as well, but you go back and watch Ricky Williams, the last couple of years of his career at Texas, people absolutely did not want to tackle that dude. And it's because they just kept sending him. Number 15, Louisville at number 16, Notre Dame. We talked about how this was the who gives a shit game. Again, CJ Vogel said it, paraphrasing, of course. I don't think I've ever seen a number 15 versus number 16 game that I cared less about than this game. I didn't even see the game, by the way. I didn't even remember to try to look for the game on Saturday. That's how much I didn't give a shit about this game. And folks, I'm not trying to brag, but I got 3 TVs on the patio. So the covered patio, and then I got 2 out by the pool. And I do a really good job on football Saturdays when we can be in the pool, when the weather's nice enough, of planning that out where I get all the games I want to watch. I didn't even think about putting this game on. Nonetheless, we thought the early test, we couldn't not pick it. 15 and 16, you can't not pick that. And we thought the early test by Notre Dame going down to College Station, playing in that game, winning that game, and then the early adversity against Northern Illinois. We thought that combined with Indy's defense would be the difference in this game. We had Notre Dame winning this game 27-20. They end up winning it 31-24. So not too bad. We're 4 points off both teams. 2-0. 2-0 in week 5 so far. And then we come down to the big one. Number 2 Georgia at number 4 Bama. This is the game everybody's been talking about. There was all kinds of talk last week about, what happens to the winner of this game? Do they jump Texas? I did a poll. Got some pretty interesting results. I think most people thought that if Georgia or Bama were to win this game, and particularly Georgia, I'm a little surprised that Bama went from 4-1. Not saying they don't have the best win, but that's just a really big jump. But most people thought that the winner of this one had a shot to jump Texas, and I don't have a problem with the fact that they jumped Texas, and I don't disagree with anybody saying they think they should jump Texas. It doesn't matter. Keep winning. Yeah, now Georgia's ranked number 5 or whatever they are, and when they come to Austin, they won't have the little 1 next to their name or the little 2 next to their name. Doesn't make a shit. Beat them. Keep beating people, and you'll wind up playing the team that's got the 1 next to their name. It's as simple as that. If you're good enough to be a team with the 1 next to your name, you'll beat that team that's got the 1 next to their name. I'm almost to the point where I say rankings do not matter whatsoever. The only reason you have to kind of backtrack from that is because the top 4 highest ranked conference champions get that bye. And I think that is super important in any playoff. Getting that bye week is huge. You got players beat up. It gives you a little extra time to game plan. Really good teams have a lot of success after bye weeks. Nonetheless, we thought this would be a pretty low-scoring game. I loved Bama's versatility at quarterback in this game. I just thought it's going to be a difference in this game. Thought the fact that Georgia had a struggling offense, they haven't looked great this year. They're going into Bryant Denny. They're going into Nick Saban Field at night. Just felt like that was going to be a bad combination for Georgia. I said, look for a turnover late in the game to seal this win for Bama. Spot on with that one. I had Bama 20 over Georgia 16. Neither defense really shows. Matter of fact, though, honestly, Bama's defense was outstanding in the first half. I think that game was 30-7 at halftime. They end up winning it 41-34 in like kind of a shootout last few minutes, which was really fun to watch. Pretty unbelievable at the end of that game happened on just a really poor throw. Just a not a good throw. I mean, those types of passes are 50-50 balls, but I just felt like the place where he put the ball, like what was he looking at? Why did he decide to put the ball there? Was it a physical mistake? Was it a mental mistake? Those are things that really interest me about that type of play. Like what happened? Surely he knows, surely Coach Smart knows, and they'll get it figured out. But I thought it was pretty outstanding the way Georgia came back. And then you got to flip it around and say when Georgia took the lead, there's not a lot of time left. Alabama could have just gotten their fills and just kind of let it happen, and they didn't. They came right back out and snatched that shit right back from Georgia. Those are 2 really good teams, really talented teams. Be fun to watch those teams the rest of the season. 3-0. We are now 12-0 in Trace Otra games, which Sean Redfern is just one man, but he is pretty good at picking games this year. After action review, Mississippi State. Man, I got to admit, watching this game live, Drunk Sean was not happy with the way this game went down. Drunk Sean had a lot of problems with what was going on that field against Mississippi State. Going back and watching the replay, though, I still have a lot of problems with what went down, but it was not as bad. A lot of people keep talking about how Texas struggled in this game. I don't. They weren't good, but I don't know if struggle's the right word. Check this out. They had 522 total yards of offense, 324 passing on 26 for 31, 2 touchdowns. That's 84% completions. They had 198 yards on the ground on 31 carries, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Some might argue 5 touchdowns on the ground because Arch Manning scored like 300 times on one drive. 6.4 yards per carry. So they were averaging 511 on offense coming into this game. They eclipsed that. Here's the problem, though. They had 2 fumbles. They were 5 of 9 on third down, which that's not too bad. 0 for 1 on fourth down when Sark took points off the board. They allowed 2 sacks, and I still can't hate the offensive line on those sacks. I can't pin it on them. Arch Manning likes to hold the ball and look down the field, and that's going to mean he's going to get hit a lot and he's going to get sacked. So this whole narrative that like Texas struggled is just really wrong. It's people looked at the score or people watched that game emotionally and haven't looked at, which I do that on the weekend. Folks, I don't care about stats and like, man, I just love to watch. I'm a fan. I think this podcast is mostly from a fan perspective as well, but I get a little more analytical on some days than I do on Drunk Sean Monday or Sunday. Like, I am just going to talk about how I felt emotionally during that game. And I think a lot of people did that. And then there's just a lot of hate for Texas. They're going to try to find any little nitpicky thing they can do. Players that popped offensively, this one's always tough for the offense, man. We have said it multiple times. They just have a ton of really good players, man. It's pretty freaking gross how good the skill position players are on this team. It's almost embarrassing, to be perfectly honest. Like it is an embarrassment of riches. Arch Manning, man, 84% completions, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns. Highest rated QB in the country on Saturday, according to PFF. What a bounce back. Last week, a lot of people, because he threw 2 interceptions, a lot of people started up that, Arch Manning's not that good narrative. It's a lot different coming off the bench than it is knowing you're the starter all week. And now this is the second time that Arch Manning's known he was the starter all week. I don't believe for a second that Steve Sarkisian made a game time decision about Quinn Ewers. He said he was 70%. That means at best on Monday he was 70%. That means no, you ain't the starter this weekend. My opinion. Arch knew it, and he came out and delivered big time. Big time. Had another long drop pass that would have been a touchdown. Those kind just got to make you sick, man. That would have put him at, I don't know, 350, 360, 370, something with 3 touchdowns. Damn good game by Arch Manning. Trey Wisner, another guy, 13 rushes, 88 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. He kind of came in. He kind of came in later in the game after Jaden Blue had just kind of been benched for having 2 really rough fumbles. And he came in at the time where Texas was just trying to run the ball, man, and he delivered. That dude runs tough. He had a catch for 12 yards. That was a tough run. When Arch Manning threw that ball, I thought that's a loss. And he just wiggled out of it and then got down the field, ended the run, got a couple extra yards, got a first down on that play. Should have been a loss. And he made it a first down. I think he got 12. Yeah, he got 12 yards on it. For those of y'all that have been with us a while, man, Trey Wisner was a guy that I really, really liked in that 2023 class. I called him my offensive dark horse. I remember I was sitting right here in my mama's basement talking to Mike Roach about recruiting. They had just signed the class. And I asked him who his dark horse was, and I told him mine, Trey Wisner. Really, really like that dude. He's good, folks. He was good a little last year. He's going to be good this year. What's cool, a lot of fans want to argue about who should start and who should do this and all. What's really outstanding about this Texas team is someone's going to get the hot hand. Not everybody's going to be hot every week, but the fact that you have enough guys that you can just roll them in and out and find the one that has the hot hand, that is just a huge deal for any coaching staff. It's a huge deal for the team. It's a huge deal for us fans. Somewhere down along the line, Trey Wisner's going to have a bad game, and Jaden Blue's going to pick him up. That's just the nature of a team. That's the whole point of a team. DeAndre Moore, man, welcome to college football. He did it a little bit last week. Does it again. Wow. 4 catches, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, along a 49 right before the end of the half. He was inches away from number 3. And I think he might be the best blocker down the field out of all the wide receivers. Admittedly, it's hard to pay attention to him. And he did get a holding penalty early or late in this game. But there were some times where we got the ball down the field in the running game, and he was out leading out front, blocking. And you like to see that, man. That's how you pop big plays. That's the reason Texas hasn't hit as many big running plays. The downfield blocking by the wide receiver group, that's just not their strength. Defense allowed 294 total yards. That's not great, but it's not that bad either. 144 passing on 12 of 23, no touchdowns, 52% completions, 150 rushing yards, but on 50 carries, 1 touchdown, 3 yards per carry. I don't know what Texas was averaging coming into this game, total yards wise, but I don't think Mississippi State got too much more. They just held onto the ball because of the penalties, because of the fumbles. They had the ball for so long, especially early in this game. Only 1 turnover with the forced strip sack fumble. They held Mississippi State to 8 of 17 on 3rd downs, which is okay. Not their best effort there. 1 of 3 on 4th down. 6 sacks they racked up. We talked about how this Mississippi State team had given up, I believe they'd given up 13 sacks coming into this game. So Texas certainly dialed them up for a lot of sacks. Almost a third of the sacks they'd given up this season, Texas had on them in one game. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone. Not the best effort there, but it's the way it goes. Players that popped defensively. Generally, this one's not as tough. It was really tough for me this week to come up with these. Colin Simmons, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Number 11 just running all over the place. The defensive pressure off the edge has certainly risen as Colin Simmons' reps have risen. He ain't perfect yet. He still has a lot to work on. But holy cow, man, that dude is really good. He leads the freshmen across the country in a lot of categories. He's very high up in a lot of categories for freshman defenders. Another guy I thought had a really good game, Jalen Gilbo, 8 tackles, 5 solo. He's real good around the line of scrimmage. Like Barron used to be, Jade Barron last year, year before that. A lot of people don't remember this, but Jalen Gilbo was the starting star when both he and Jade Barron were youngsters on this team, when they were pups, and he got hurt. And he missed basically the entire year. And that's when Jade Barron really stepped up and had a really good year. And then last year he had a really good year. Jalen Gilbo, real damn good player. You will hear more from Jalen Gilbo this season. Vernon Broughton, big Vernon Broughton. Finally, we got a defensive tackle messing some stuff up. I love it. 5 tackles, 1 sack, forced fumble, recovered fumble. That was a huge play. That play came just a couple of plays after Jaden Blue had the rough turnover on a first down run where he picked up a first down early in the third quarter. And Vernon Broughton and the Texas Longhorn defense turned Mississippi State away. 14-3 at that point, I believe. 14-3, 14-6. Close game. It was 14-6 because it was 7-6 at one point. Huge play. Good on Vernon Broughton. Special teams, 2 punts for 62 yards. One was partially blocked, I'm pretty sure. It was either blocked or the punter had to, make a weird kick because he was coming. The kid that got back there definitely affected the kick one way or another, whether he blocked it or just forced the punter to make a bad kick. 6 kickoffs, 4 touchbacks, 5 for 5 on PATs, 1 punt return for 20 yards. Nice field goal by Bert Auburn that gets taken off the board. So, yeah, man, statistically, Texas really didn't struggle. I mean, it was just a combination of penalties, those turnovers, and Mississippi State did a really good job of just holding on to the football. They intentionally slowed that game down. Final thoughts. Drunk Sean was wrong, man. He said the points off the scoreboard thing was early in the game. I really legitimately thought that was early in the game. It was absolutely not. It's like 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. I don't give a shit what time it was in the game. I don't like that at all. Please never do that again. That's some shit right there, how you get beat. I don't know, man. Call me conservative. I don't know why you take points off the board ever in a tight game. Maybe in a blowout, sure. Maybe if you're down, sure. But a tight game late like that, not a fan. We said it, Mississippi State had a good plan, and they stuck with it. We thought they had very minimal path to victory in this game. They're going to have to get some turnovers, and they're going to have to get some big plays downfield. They got the turnovers. They attempted the big plays downfield, but they just couldn't make them. And I'm not ready to call it a concern, but they got behind the Texas secondary a couple times. It's amazing what happens when you can run the ball on the early downs and pick up some yardage on the early downs. It opens things up. They held on to the ball 34, almost 35 minutes in this game. A couple ticks under 35 minutes. And I honestly did not expect them to run as much as they did. And I don't think Texas did either. Jeff Lebby, really not known to be a guy that tries to establish the run the way they did. Early in the game, there were some, they would spread Texas out, and there were some 3-man fronts on that first drive where Mississippi State moved the ball really well against Texas. So I don't think Texas really thought they were going to get that look out of Mississippi State. But kudos to them, man. Good idea, good game plan. And, man, the players came in and they executed it. And, yeah, Texas had some foul-ups that made it a little easier for them. But they came in and said, we're going to try to play a punishing brand of football. And they did it pretty well. I mean, listen, folks, Texas allowed 4.63 yards per carry on the first drive. That drive ended in a turnover on downs. And then after that, Mississippi State was 2.4 2.54 yards per carry for the rest of the game. But I mean, they took their shot. We got to run the ball 50 times to win this game. 151 of their 294 yards came in the first half. And in the second half, Texas was really doing a good job of shutting them down, and they just hit, they hit one long pass over the top. They got a couple long runs, couple long pass plays. Friday, we predicted a slow start. We said Texas would not cover in this game. We said Texas was going to struggle early in this game. Texas absolutely was not the storm. We talk about being the storm instead of weathering the storm. They were not. They had to weather it. It looked like they were just going through the motions out there to me. And that's something, people always say really dumb things about these types of games. It's not a big deal. It was just Mississippi State. We won by 22. And that's fair. It was just Mississippi State. We did end up winning by 22, and that's good. I mean, if you play like that and you win by 22, it's a positive thing. But these are things you can't just turn on and off. Like I said it a million times. I don't understand why anybody would go through all that shit all week, all the practice, all the film, all the getting my body ready to go play on Saturday, and not go out and just want to fucking kill everybody on the field in front of them for 60 minutes. I don't understand that. That mental does not like, oh, we're just playing Mississippi State. That does not click in my brain. If I can physically whip your ass for 60 minutes, that's what's going to happen. I don't care if we're playing Southwest Assemblies of God or we're playing the 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Like, if that's what I can do, that's what I'm going to do. That was my mentality when I played football. And I don't know. I don't know how much they actually took them for granted, or I really don't know. I'm not in that locker room. I feel like it wasn't a very focused team because a lot of the things that were going on in that game were focus-driven issues to me. I think the only thing that can stop this Texas offense is that Texas offense. They have great pass protection. They can get chunk plays in the passing game like it's going out of style. They have a very effective, not flashy at all, but very effective running game. They were able to run the ball late in this game. They kept talking, at the beginning of the game, we just didn't do it. And then when they wanted to late, they were able to do it very well. Just got to clean up the penalties. Gamble and Williams, you guys got to be better and stay in there. Hold your water, big man. I know. I know. That's just a mental thing. That's something you got to. I was a pretty bad off starter, man, or a false starter. I had some jumps. I think a lot of it, I was just ready to go, though. And they're probably ready to go, too. But that's one thing you got to fix. That's a mental problem. You got to fix that. Catch catchable passes, man. If it hits you in the hands, you got to make that play. A lot of people did a lot of work for that ball to get to you in that situation. You got to make a play, man. Protect the football. We've talked about it. Interceptions are a different breed than fumbles. Fumbles is almost completely an effort thing. Lots of stuff can happen to make an interception happen that doesn't involve the quarterback just throwing it to the wrong dude. But a fumble is almost all the time just an effort thing. You got out efforted. Got to fix that. Need those wide receivers to block better downfield. Speaking of offense, explosiveness, creativity, I really loved the end around late when Mississippi State was crashing hard with their safety from the weak side. And the strong side guys are just flying to the ball as they ran that little running back across the formation. Great play. And it caught them, and they scored a touchdown. Isaiah Bond, super fast. He kind of popped to me, although he didn't have that big type of a game. He could have certainly been a player that popped. There's just some other guys had a little bit better game, I thought. As good as Simmons is, he needs a lot of work in the run game. He's great trailing the play. His speed, his length, he can get there, he can make tackles. He's still got some issues being at the point of attack. I think teams are going to attack him in the run game. Sometimes he dips under that pulling guard. Sometimes he tries to dance around the outside of that pulling guard. The defensive end's got to set the edge on that. You can't set the edge if you're dipping inside the block or if you're dancing around the outside of it because you leave a gaping hole. There is no edge anymore. He he's going to be great. He will figure that out. He's playing right now just on athleticism and instinct. And sometimes he does that and he makes the play. But if you really want to be sound up front, you got to have guys doing what they're supposed to be doing. Texas was okay in this one situationally. They won the end of the first half, had the long touchdown throw to DeAndre Moore. I think they lost the beginning of the second half. They fumbled on the opening play. They got the ball right back a couple plays later, and then Sark went on tilt and took points off the board. Thought the defense battled their asses off in this game. The offense put them in some bad spots. Some questionable decisions put them in some bad spots. Running plays are really physical for those big dudes. And this front seven played 50 of them. Again, 150 yards sounds like a ton. But when you figure they spread that over 50 carries, that is not a lot of yards. That's not a lot of damage. I got two big concerns going forward to this team right now. Penalties on offense, man. They are just drive killers. And the middle ones, the procedure ones, those are the worst because they are totally preventable. The hustle stuff, man, you don't ever want to see it. You want to stay clean, but sometimes you're just going to hustle and you're going to get a penalty. Sometimes you're going to drive a dude's ass into the ground and they're going to throw a holding flag. It happens. It happens almost every single game. Sometimes you're going to run up to a pile and knock the piss out of somebody right after the whistle blew, and you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. That's hustle play, man. They suck. They'll kill a drive just the same. But, man, the freebie where I just can't stand there until the ball snaps or we're shifting and we don't get set, those are bullshits. Y'all got to fix those. And then the run defense, man, it's not bad, but it's leaky. And it's been leaky all season. For 5 weeks now, it's been leaky. And to me, that makes me feel like it is just a physical problem. If it was something that you could fix, the coaches could coach, it was a schematic thing that they just needed to pound into these guys' heads, it should be fixed after 5 weeks or improved after 5 weeks. I don't see that it is. So I got to think it's a physical thing. I I I think there's a pretty decent drop off when Vernon Broughton and Collins come off the field up the middle. I don't know. I'm not giving up. We'll keep paying attention to that, but that's just what I feel right now. And then you look forward in the future, you're going to start to play some teams that can run the ball really good. They're big and physical up front. They got really good skill guys. It's not so much, being leaky for 5, 10 yards, 12 yards, 15. That is not a huge thing every once in a while. The problem is what happens when those 7, 8, 10, 12-yard leaky runs turn into 60 to the house? You got to get some hats on people at the line of scrimmage. You got to make them. You got to get them moving sideways instead of up and down, man. Because boom, you let a hole like that happen, they get through it. These guys are fast, man. Michigan beat USC on like 3 long run plays. That's it. That's all it takes. Get out of your gap. One play, and these dudes can house it. Get beat a little bit on one play, and these dudes can house it. So, I think we all knew the running defense was not going to be as good this year. I think it's actually better than I thought it would be as a whole, but it's still a little leaky. Gotta fix that. I think Texas definitely loses that game 2 seasons ago. The depth is just so much better. That's what won the game. Depth. 2 seasons ago, that game would have turned into 300 yards on the ground for Mississippi State because they did it 50 freaking times. So the couple of guys that were really good and really strong would have just been flat, dragging their tongues on the dirt, and they'd have got ran right over the top of. I truly believe that. Depth, man. The Texas depth is going to keep them out of a lot of bad situations this year. Texas 1-0 in the SEC after a pretty uninspiring performance. That's really positive to me as you head into the Red River Shootout. Quick note on officiating. I didn't think it was too bad in this game, but I do not understand how you call Cole Hudson for holding on a touchdown run and not call that Mississippi State center holding on Broughton on Mississippi State's touchdown play. It was almost the exact same look. And you can't tell me you didn't see that because the whole freaking world saw it. It was right in the middle of the screen. Quarterback ran right past him. Vernon Broughton's getting yanked by his freaking shoulder pads backwards. Man, all we ever ask for is just to just be consistent. If you're going to call Cole Hudson for having his hands a little outside, fine. Call everybody with their little hands outside. But if it's a direct effect to the play like that, you got to throw the flag, dude. And if you didn't see it, shame on you because that's your damn job, man. Mississippi State put to bed. We got a bye week. Getting ready for the Red River Shootout in 2 weeks. We're excited, man. Can't wait to get over there to Dallas. Check out the fair. It's a good time. If you never got a chance to go to the state fair and go to the Red River Shootout, that's got to be a bucket list for you guys. We will be back tomorrow. We got some special guests coming up this week. We're going to have Kyle Umlang of Aggie Fact Thursday. That's what I call him. We got CJ Vogel of On Texas Football is going to be with us, and Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered is going to come visit with us for a few minutes. We appreciate those guys taking the time. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Won't cost you guys a thing. We sure appreciate the support. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. 5-0, 1-0 in SEC play. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go make it 6 in 2 weeks at the Red River Shootout. You guys get hooked.